I'm here today to tell you about a dark force that is undermining our careers and stealing precious energy from our efforts to make an impact at work. This force appears in break rooms and around water coolers. It shows up in private offices and in conference rooms. Many of us participate in strengthening this force, but we have no idea we're doing it. That dark force is in our words, specifically words about food in our bodies. You might be wondering, what does that have to do with the workplace? Isn't that more of a personal thing? After living and researching this topic myself, I can tell you that the answer to both of those questions is no. Words about food in our bodies do impact us in the workplace, and it is not just a personal thing. And by the end of this talk, I hope you will agree that if we change our words, we can change our workplaces. Before I get into the research, let me share how I discovered this issue. I'm from a small town in Alaska of about 2,000 people. So it's a wonder that through my sports goals, I became a full-time, internationally competitive athlete in Olympic-style rifle shooting. Other than snow and wind, my town is not known for much, and certainly not for producing elite athletes. My humble sports journey started in this rickety sportsman's club a few miles from my house, where my dad coached me through junior high. After that, I joined our local high school shooting team, and after graduation, I walked onto the NCAA National Championship rifle team at the University of Alaska Fairbanks. Go Nanooks! Just weeks before I graduated from college, I won a spot on the US shooting team, and a few weeks later, I was accepted as a resident athlete at the US Olympic Training Center. This achievement was one of many big goals I had for my shooting career. So at age 21, I moved to Colorado Springs and I entered what I called the bubble of excellence, an environment where every detail was designed for the sole purpose of helping US athletes win medals. Every person there was either chasing gold medal dreams or they were helping others chase those dreams. The energy and the environment were spectacular. Quite an upgrade from that rickety building of my youth, right? As a resident athlete, I lived, ate, rehabbed, and trained in the gym with 125 of our country's top athletes and Olympians, such as speed skater Apollo Ono, Greco-Roman wrestler Rulon Gardner, and Olympic weightlifter Shane Hammond. Every athlete was there to win medals for the US, without exception. If you didn't win, you didn't stay. I spent 3 years in the bubble of excellence, focused exclusively on peak performance. We had trainers, dietitians, sports psychology, sports medicine. Any resource you needed for success was available. Living in this environment, I came to believe that the daily grind toward perfection was the norm, inside and outside the walls of the Olympic Training Center. But when I retired from sport in 2005, I had an experience no one prepared me for. My bubble of excellence was promptly popped. My identity was wiped away. Without the title of elite athlete and the focus that title gave me, I didn't know who I was. So I latched on to the only two things I thought I could control: food and my physique. Within 3 months of my retirement, I was profoundly lost as a person. I was deeply depressed, and I had developed an eating disorder. I worked with counselors who helped me make major progress in my recovery, but I never fully let go of my difficult relationships with food and my body. I quietly carried those struggles with me for 15 years, through life and into my healthcare career. But 2 years ago, I connected with an amazing nutrition therapy practitioner who had an athletic journey very similar to mine. She helped me change my nutrition and my thought patterns so I could overcome my old habits and judgments. Not only did working with her change my perceptions and my self-talk, but it also changed how I let it work. I became a more focused and creative leader. Setbacks didn't feel so personal. I owned my strengths and I embraced my flaws openly. I developed work-life boundaries and I finally prioritized my health. And as I changed, I noticed changes in my team too. This is when I realized if we change our words, we can change our workplaces. I had to wonder though, if food and body image have such an impact on workplace performance, why is no one talking about this? Is it just me? When I explored the research, I found it's not just me. In fact, it's over 1/3 of us. According to a survey of over 4,000 people conducted by the UK-based Mental Health Foundation, 34% of adults feel anxious and 35% feel depressed because of their body image. That's up to 35 of the people in this 100-person audience. 1 in 5 people even feel shame or disgust about their bodies. So what does this have to do with our careers? When I started looking into this, I found many studies about the impact of body image on self-esteem, but I was surprised at the lack of research specifically around body perceptions in the workplace. The studies that do exist, however, create some very interesting parallels. In the journey Sex Roles, Catherine Gopinski and her colleagues reviewed prior research and also shared the results of their own work. One past study found that self-objectification and body monitoring create feelings of guilt, humiliation, self-consciousness, and anxiety. Gopinski's team also reviewed a study on performance in math tests by people who experienced body shame. This study was eloquently summarized by saying, self-objectification leads to decreased motivation because uninhibited, productive, and creative states of mind are incompatible with the self-consciousness of body monitoring. In their own study, seeking to expand upon prior research, Gopinski and team found that people who scored high in self-objectification, when exposed to body disparaging or fat talk, experienced feelings of decreased motivation, self-efficacy, and cognitive performance. So these studies make the clear connection between self-image and our mental health, but they also highlight how body shame creates decreased creativity, motivation, productivity, self-efficacy, self-confidence, and cognitive performance. Now, consider for a moment, what are the very skills we need to be successful and transformative leaders in our work? They're on this screen. And this is why this issue matters so much. Our private thoughts and our outward conversations around food and our bodies are smothering the exact skills we need to make a difference in our careers. But if we change our words, we can change our workplaces. We just talked about body image, so let's switch to food talk. I have a short quiz for you. I'm going to say some words that people often use to describe food, and I want you to think about the natural opposite of that word. Unhealthy. Healthy. Junk food. Valuable is the opposite of junk. Dirty, like a dirty fast. Clean. Sinful. Righteous. Cheat meal. The opposite of cheating. Honor or integrity. Fattening. Now this is a tough one. Skinnyfying isn't really a word, so maybe for this one, we'll use nourishing. Please pause for a moment and study these words. Now, if you're comfortable doing so, would you mind closing your eyes for a moment? Picture the face of someone you love deeply. Now, imagine looking into their eyes and saying these words. You are fat, unhealthy, dirty, sinful, junk, and a cheat. You can open your eyes. Could you say those words to someone you love? Have you said them to yourself? This exercise demonstrates the key lesson I learned through my recovery. Many of us have turned our judgments about food into judgments about ourselves. Our goodness, our integrity, our worth as humans is reflected in the powerful words we choose to relate to our food. But when we let food, a purely neutral substance, define our righteousness or our value, no wonder it distracts us and keeps us from doing our best work. This is the dark force that has crept its way into our consciousness and our workplaces, and it monopolizes the brain space and skills we need to make a difference. But if we change our words, we can change our workplaces. I'll share 2 ways you can start making a difference today. I'll give you the hard one first. Remember I told you earlier that over 1/3 of people struggle with anxiety and depression around their body image? If you're one of those people, know there is a path to healing, and there are professionals who can help you with specific supportive care. There are trained counselors who specialize in eating disorders and body image issues. If this talk has touched you, maybe it's time to consider starting on the road to recovery. It's truly beautiful when you come out the other side. The second way to make a difference, everyone can start today. In your workplaces, in schools, and around your own dinner tables. Change the words you use to talk about food in your body. I call these compassionate word swaps, and here are a few that I like. I pigged out. How about, I enjoyed a big meal with friends? Or, I was so bad. Instead, I had a nice break from my usual food routine. I feel so fat. Maybe I'm feeling so many difficult emotions right now, it's more accurate. If you do nothing else after this talk, please commit to just one word swap. You know what your biggest food hang-up phrase is. Pick that one. Turn those judgmental words into words of support and self-compassion. Now, let's talk about ideas worth spreading. Teaching others to use more compassionate language is how we create change that reaches beyond the 100 people in this room. When you hear coworkers talking about how terrible a certain food is or how bad they were over the weekend, help them change their words too. Maybe it doesn't sound like you were bad. It sounds like you had a wonderful weekend connecting with friends over some fun meals. Be kind to yourself. Imagine the difference we could make if we all had workplaces where compassionate language about ourselves and others was the norm. Imagine if our brain space was free from self-judgment and food conflict, and we could focus on doing our most meaningful work every single day. I truly believe that if everyone here makes one change and then shares with one other person, we will have a ripple effect that will make us all better people, better professionals, and better leaders. Change your words, change your workplace, change your world. Thank you.